So what I'm seeing today is that there are, I have to admit one more person here. Clara is on. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of you. We started out, I think, with like 13. And so half of the people have either had enough of me, can't take much more of me, or what we are feeding isn't exactly what they want to eat. And so that normally happens. I don't get upset about it. I'm disappointed, but you guys are here, and that's what is important. And I hope that each week what Tom Ferry has put on paper for you is inspiring you somewhat to do the things in your business that you need to do to be successful. I want to first of all give hats off to Kim Dillard, who's doing some things that we've talked about, and I think Tom, you and Kim have been working together on something. So congratulations on working on your business. And some of it might be Ferry, and some of it just might be other things, but congratulations. And so the two Kims and Tom, I know, are working pretty hard. Not saying that Claire and Pascal aren't, but anyhow, hats off to you guys. So last week, we talked about how to start up your geographical farm. And I don't want to go too far from that today. We've got some things to talk about today with your, setting up and becoming an appointment setting machine, as Tom Ferry talks. But I don't want to leave the geographical farm too far behind. As I said last week, I'm a firm believer that setting up a geographical farm is the single most important thing, other than you're setting up your sphere of influence to set up your success with all your contacts. Other than that, setting up a geographical farm has the more potential than anything, I believe, in our real estate business to drive you to success, to allow you to have success and to be able to control that. The whole idea behind setting up a geographical farm is to make you the go-to person in the neighborhood. That's what you want to do. And so have any of you thought any more about your geographical farm, or have any of you, I know Kim Dillard has or is working on, have you thought about the area, the neighborhood, the city, if it's a small little city, that you want to work your geographical farm in? Have you thought about, and could you name it? If I ask you, what is the name of your neighborhood? Tom, do you have one?
I do. I live in the neighborhood, and I was reviewing the notes. It's Robeson Ranch. It's a retirement, active community, whatnot. Uh-huh. And one of it's gated. You can't go door to door. You have to join groups and things like that. So that makes it a little difficult.
Yes,
but you had, as one point last week, and I didn't bring it up, know the dominant agent in the area. I know who that is. My wife's actually friends with her on Facebook and the Garden Club. What's important about that?
Well, what's important is you want to know what your rival is doing. If you are a coach coaching a football team, you watch film and you want to learn as much about the other team as you can, whether they pass, whether they run, which direction they go. And it's the same with identifying the real estate agent in the area that you want to work. I've never shied away from, not that I'm this big, powerful guy, because I am not, but I wouldn't shy away with going head to head with anybody in the business, unless I really felt that I was just somebody could outwork me. People couldn't outwork me. They could outspend me. They could have more experience and so forth, but they couldn't outwork me. So to answer your question, I think you want to know what does that agent in your area do? What specifically is she doing to be the dominant person in your neighborhood? Can you name a couple things that she does?
I can, and one of them just fascinates me. I'm sure y'all probably know somebody. She shows up in my wife's Facebook. Her advertisements do, and she's not a friend. And the way Kelly met this woman, when she went to the Garden Club meeting, she was talking to a friend of hers, our neighbor, and she said, this Slocum how does she, who is she? Well, Slocum managed to be sitting right beside her and she didn't know it. So thank goodness she didn't say something.
Yeah.
But how do you advertise and pop up in some stranger's Facebook?
Anybody have an answer to that? I have an answer, but does anybody have an answer for that? Go ahead and jump in if you know.
Pay Facebook.
Yeah, pay Facebook.
Yeah.
What Facebook can do, in my other office, I had something called Ylopo. It was like Boomtown, but it was called Ylopo. And they focused, and the reason I like them is they focused on Facebook ads. So the goal of Ylopo was to get me everywhere. And so if somebody has, not that I know Facebook inside now, if somebody has identified somewhere on Google, somewhere where your information is out there, right? And what Facebook advertising will do is they will focus on people that you identify. So you might identify homeowners in, what's the name of your neighborhood? Is there a name?
Robeson Ranch.
Robeson?
Robson Ranch.
Robeson Ranch. Okay. So a person has probably gone to Facebook with a little bit of work, identified that they want to work with people 55 and over, for example. Okay. And that would include and it's probably going to include other areas. And so when anybody from Robeson Ranch or anybody 55 and over, whenever they are working on Google, all of that information is like under the radar. What Ylopo told me is, we're going to tell you how we will help you get more business, and it's going to totally creep you out. But the basic is, they will capture those people that you have identified with those kind of things, looking for two-story homes, looking for Robeson Ranch, looking in Frisco, and then they will identify them, and those ads will pop up whenever they're on the internet, because they're identified as a potential person in that area, person living in that area. Or if Mary Jones has been on the internet and identified that she looks at Robeson Ranch just from the internet, it will find that, and it will see that Mary Jones was looking at Robeson Ranch and will feed her your ad, and she'll go, Tom Oliver, the go-to agent in Robeson Ranch. I think I'll call him. And so that's how they do it. Okay. So it can be done. It's not hugely expensive, but it's something you should look into.
No kidding.
As a possibility, because if that's one way of controlling it. Now, the one argument I might have is that, and maybe I'm wrong, is that not a lot of people 55 and over are on Facebook. I'm probably totally wrong. Probably those are the people that are on Facebook right now.
Well, I understand that, everybody's child got off because parents got on it, years ago.
Yeah. So I think Facebook has kind of, taken over for older people, wobblies like me, and things like TikTok are those that are appealing to younger. So anyhow, that's how that happens.
Interesting.
So you've identified Robeson Ranch, Tom, and any of you, with what you've identified, you need to find out what that go-to agent is doing to be the go-to agent. Anything else? Not that we're here to spend our time with this, but anything else?
But she really doesn't do a mailer. But I think the things that I've identified is she's a joiner. She's been in the business a hell of a lot longer than I have, and so you have to join, you have to be a part of it. But what I've seen is I've identified this because I'm filling up my car every third day, because I've been asked from a title company, what's your area? Where do you service? DFW. Because when you're working with buyers, you can wind up, I've got certain neighborhoods now that I know a lot about. And that's the one that that's the one that I'm going to go knock doors on, because, well, it's my daughter. So when she moves in, I'm going to walk the neighborhood. I'll get known. But I'd love to be able to fish off my own pier and drive a mile or two, and maybe be a listing agent as opposed to a buyer's agent 50 miles from here.
Well, know that you can't be everything to everybody. And I get it. DFW's 7.5 million people. You don't need 7.5 million people. You need a couple neighborhoods that you really focus on. And you want to, I know that Paul just got a call with somebody that wanted, actually they contacted me. They've gone to our page, and the lady said, I'm looking for an agent who can help my buyers moving from wherever, I don't remember, that knows, let's see, I think it was Frisco, McKinney, and Ellen, whatever it was, right? And so I responded, I said, oh, and her question was, how long have you lived here? Sorry, how long have you lived in that area? And I said 6 months. And she came back, well, I've got a buyer who's looking in this specific areas, and they want to work with an agent who knows these areas like the back of their hand. And I had to say, I'm not that agent. I am not that agent. And so from our group, she picked somebody else, maybe one of you, and that's okay, because I can't be everything to everybody. And I'm not going to lie that I'm an expert in Prosper or wherever, and then
Right.
put them in my car and not even be able to know what direction Prosper is from where I am.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So anybody else have an area that they're going to focus on? Could you name a neighborhood?
Am I on?
Yeah. Yep.
Paloma Creek, where I used to live,
What's it called?
which is Paloma Creek. It's in Little Elm.
Okay.
It's on the border of Little Elm and Aubrey.
Little Elm. Okay, Kim. Thank you. Anyone else? Come on, other Kim. You got one.
This is Pascal. I live in Saddle Club in
Saddle Club.
McKinney.
Okay, so you're going to focus that area?
Yeah, it's a very popular area, and there's a good turnover. It's right around 6-7%
Oh,
in a 3 to 6 month period. So that's, I always try to do the math first.
that's
to make
powerful.
sure. Yeah, I mean, you want to make sure, to me, that you have a high enough turnover that you're going to get some business and not just waste money in an area you want to farm.
Yep, that's just, well, that's what you have to do. Remember, Tom Ferry recommended 6%, and he used to teach anywhere between 5 and 10% turnover every year. So man, you've got a hot area. Okay.
Yeah, and it's a growing, expanding area, new high school. There's a lot of retail centers popping up, Allen School District. And, one of the top 3, if not top first, is going to be school districts for people in the suburbs.
Okay,
So-
well, you've got a great one. Congratulations. So now is the plan to work it, how you're going to do it. So great, good. Kim, with 2 M's?
Yep, it's in Flower Mound. It's called Wellington.
Okay,
And I lived there for years and years and know it back and forth. And I even have a couple of people like businesses that I know and things like that. So, and I had focused more on the kind of the landlord tenant idea. I
Okay.
love that idea.
okay. Clara, how about you? Have you selected an area?
Well, I'm going to be living in a community called Greenway Trail, so that's where I would want to start initially. It's south of Grand Point
Okay,
or Grand Prairie, I'm sorry, near South Point.
okay, South Point, okay. All right, good. Brittany, have you found an area that you're going to farm, that you want to work?
Yeah, I typically focus, like right now, well, I guess you could say this entire time. We lived in the Johnson County when my husband was stationed down there. So that was majority of my focus the first couple years. And then we've been in Hazlet now for 1.5 years. So North Fort Worth has kind of become now another focus. I typically get pulled in those 2 directions. So I'd say South Fort Worth and North Fort Worth.
Saginaw, Hazlet area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And Mike, how about you? What areas are you going to work?
What was that?
The Keller area and the surrounding Fort Worth and that neighborhood.
Okay. Now, so all of you, congratulations, you've all identified an area that you want to work. And now you have to start working it. And we talked about how you can do that. I'll help you with that as well. Title companies are there to help you. Identifying your areas is usually the hardest part. Now put it in motion. So good. I'm glad you've thought a little bit about this and you're working towards that. So, all right. So thank you for giving me all that stuff. Let's talk about what we're here today. And hopefully you're feeling good about what we're doing. We're in week 7. And so you might feel a little bit of overwhelm. And last week I reviewed some of the things, like 18 things that we've talked about that are all kind of important points of your business that Tom Ferry has talked about. So I know overwhelm can come with that. There's no doubt about it. So let me throw a little bit more to you for overwhelm. And remember, all these things are for you to take from what is being provided to you and build upon those 3 or 4 things that you're passionate about, like the geographical farm. That's one of those things to be passionate about. So here's what we're here today to talk about. I think everybody can see my screen okay, and hopefully it's large enough that you can read it. So we're going to talk about the power of right focus. Today is some of this is a little, and you'll get it in just a second, because it's about visualization and some other things that might seem a little out there, a little bit new age for some people. But we're going to talk about the power of right focus, of the correct focus. What appointments matter. This is super important because you want to focus on appointment setting things that you can do that really matter. We're going to talk about the rules of converting leads into appointments, and talk a little bit about long-term leads. So the outcome is hopefully to help you focus on the right actions, convert leads into appointments. That's huge. Win the follow-up game with long-term sellers and buyers, and schedule more appointments. I mean, wouldn't we all be happy if we were able to schedule more appointments? Yesterday afternoon, I talked with Kim with 2 M's, and Kim was super excited because she had actually had some appointments, or is having appointments being set up. She scheduled some appointments, and it's like a drug when you start getting appointments, and you can see that, wow, this whole thing is really working and has a potential to do what I was hoping it would do. And so we want to figure out how to set more appointments. Okay, so we're going to first talk about the power of the right focus, and maybe next to the word focus, mindset. Okay, mindset. So the power of the right mindset, and I'm saying mindset because that's what Exit is focused on with our corporation. What they really focus on. You know that Exit Corporate has 7 people. They've actually employ 7 people that work for Exit Corporate that they actually call mindset trainers. So Exit believes in the power of the right focus and the power of mindset. You know, they have Angel Tucker, and Angel Tucker, if you're not familiar, is the person that works with DISC, that works with personality profiles. Erica Nasby, which focuses on human behavior. That's her focus. Kevin Ahern, who I've never worked with, but he has a training that's called Fast Track Training. That is his area of focus. Kia Saad is probably somebody that you've seen around Exit. And what Kia Saad is really web training and strategist with the web and so forth. Mike McCarron, who's his job is on growth and development for agents. He's a Canadian trainer, but every once in a while he comes on webinars and so forth. Rick O'Neill, which is a really cool guy, lives on the East Coast. He's just a guy that has 4 decades of experience. It's kind of like the Bob McKinnon. As a matter of fact, they're both Marines and they're both similar in what they do. And then there's Stanley Bishop, who's the newest mindset trainer to exit. And he focuses really on systems and training and coaching and so forth. So number one, the purpose of marketing and lead generation is to create leads and opportunities. So you'll want to write in the spot is to create leads and opportunities. There's really not any other reason for marketing and lead generation other than to create leads and opportunities. And those opportunities with marketing are really number two, they create appointments. It's set up to create appointments because that's where the money is made. No appointments, no money. So you need to know that. And I don't mean to talk down to those that get it, and you've been in the business and you do get it. But anyone that's been in the business knows that appointments are where the money is. The more appointments that you can set, the more likely you're going to be successful. It's just a matter of numbers. And as you do more appointments and set appointments, present at appointments, the better you get and the more dominant you can be and the more money you can make. And other than money, the more people that you can help, because that's really what it's about. We've talked about that early on. If you're in this business for the money and only the money, you're in the wrong business. There's plenty to be made, but you have to be in the business with a genuine spirit that you want to be able to help people get what they want. Number three, every day you can activate faith or fear. Now, this is mindset, and it's really important to know that that's why we talked about writing down every single day affirmations. That's a mindset. It's a faith that writing down affirmations, positive thoughts, like you are accomplishing them. Affirmation might be, I am successful, I am powerful, and people genuinely want to work with me every day. That is a mindset that goes into the subconscious, which helps you beat the fear. The fear can overtake all of us. It just can. And I'm actually working with somebody right now to help me alleviate the fear of prospecting. Now get that. I've been doing this 30 years and I still have a fear of prospecting. And so I paid a guy, and I'm going to share his stuff with you in the future. I paid him $1,000 to help me get out of this thing at 67 years old, to help get me out of call reluctance. Because I don't know why, but I know why as I study it. I have some reluctance at making calls and talking to people. You may not believe that, but I do. And so I'm actually working with a guy. So think about that. Every day you can activate faith, the belief in yourself, not necessarily the belief in a higher power, but if you don't believe in that, the faith in yourself. Or you can have fear, and fear is when we talk ourselves out of who we are and what we're capable of doing. So today is something where you may not think you have the time to do this, but to find the time that you discover what takes up mind space. Number 4, what takes up my mind space? And mind space can be all of the things that are inside your head every minute of every day. And so we all know that we have personal life drama of some sort. It could be a family member. It could be the place where we live. We might not like where we live. It can be your business. You don't like a particular client. It's all drama. So I think if you can write down these things, what things are causing or drama in your life, because you can't remove them. They're going to be there, but you can pause them. You can quiet them, and you need to. Otherwise, they're going to take over everything for you. Okay. Next are transaction, client, and things that might go sideways in your business. Mike, have you ever had it go sideways in your business? How many times? You're muted, Mike.
There we go.
Yeah.
Not very many, but there's times that it does happen, and it definitely does take up your mind space because you're stressed, you're not sleeping, and
Yeah, it's just
you're trying to figure out, what am I going to do? What am I going to tell this person? I have kind of learned over time is that that hard phone call to make is to get it done first thing in the morning, make that your first priority, and then you're done with it. Then you're not overwhelmed with it throughout the whole day, procrastinating, wait until the afternoon to make the call.
Yeah, and that's called eating the frog, right?
Yep.
Nobody wants to eat a frog unless it's a delicacy and it's cooked right or whatever, but with frog legs. But eat the frog. Do the things that you can get out of your mind the first thing in the morning, so you don't ruin your whole day. And I've ruined my whole days because I have call reluctance. I don't want to call people and give them bad news. I want them to love me, and usually many times when you're in a transaction with your clients, you're going to be in this honeymoon stage where everybody loves everybody, and you're this person that's bringing joy to their life. And then all of a sudden, something like Mike talks about goes sideways, and then the frog appears. And so eating the frog. How about personal errands? We all have busy lives. We have children or grandchildren. We have things we have to do. How much are personal errands a distraction in your business? I think you need to be cognizant of this, because it can actually stop you from doing business. Trying to get organized versus being organized. My God, if my desk here is really clean, but if you would have seen my desk in my office in Oregon, you would have thought that a tornado went through the place, and a terrible messy desk. So and I was spending a lot of time just trying to get organized. Okay. Next is making calls without a strong mindset. A strong mindset that, okay, I've got the answers. I am able to help this client, and I am going to be my best self. I'm going to be my best self today. And I have the mindset that I am going to get this done. Okay. That's all part of a strong mindset. And then other things that take up mind space is not just closed transactions, it's ongoing transactions. Okay. So today, think about your power of right focus. Now, again, I said this can be new age and out there. And many of us think that this is silly to think about these things, but focus on them. So some of these you might be able to get out of the way. You can cross off the list. And so you're mentally able, you're mentally ready to do the things you need to do. So what are your dominant thoughts you have throughout the day? Okay, there's a place for you to write them. The human mind can only have one dominant thought at a time. That's just a fact. One dominant thought at a time. So if your dominant thought throughout the day is that client who just treated you like crap, it's going to suck up all of your energy. One of you here had one of those clients recently where I think it was Kim with 2 M's. You had a client that kind of was crappy, and maybe it wasn't, but anyhow, when you do, get rid of it, let it go. You don't need them. Okay. So some of the things that might be occupying your mind as you're getting started is, should I have even done this? Should I even be in real estate? Can I do this? How do I get started? Have I already given up? I mean, we've been here for 7 weeks, and have I done these things? Maybe now's the time to quit, or maybe I can't do this, or all the negative things, get them on paper, look at the paper, study the paper, and get rid of them. They're not going to help you in your business. And it's a mindset thing. Some people have vision boards of the positive things that they want. And I've always had, I don't have one now. When I moved, I took it down and left it back where I was from, but I'll have a new vision board where it had all those things that I see as my future self. Not myself now, but my future self. I included on my vision board pictures of my son getting his college degree, vision boards of me going to Africa. One of those things that I will do, going on a safari with my wife to Africa. It's been on my vision board for 10 years. In my old office, I even had a room dedicated called the Safari Room, where I wanted it as a positive thought in my mind every time that I walked in that room. And so think about positive thoughts and how it works in your business. Okay, so to create the right focus, we're on page 91 or the next page. How many appointments am I committed to scheduling right now? So how many appointments do you want right now? Now I'm going to go to the next area before we fill in the blanks of these 5 to 7.2, which is what appointments matter. Because this is an idea for you of where you can get appointments. Some of you may be thinking, I don't even know, how do I get an appointment? Tom Ferry talks about get 3 appointments every week or whatever it might be, 5 appointments a week. Well, how the heck do I do that? Have some of you wondered that? I know I do. Some of you have had to wonder, how do I get appointments? And here's some ways that you can get appointments. And I'm just going to throw a couple ideas outside of what Tom Ferry talks about. Buyer consultations. How could you get more buyer consultations? Anybody? How could you actually find buyers and be able to talk to them and schedule a consultation with them? Any of you have any ideas how you might get appointments for buyer consultations? Anybody have an idea?
Sphere of influence is a good one. I mean, I've had people in the past that thought that they couldn't buy a house, and I showed them that they could. And
Okay.
so just maybe identifying those people that you are around or know, or just, you know, when you meet somebody and they bring something up like that, they're trying to do this, and this to get to the point, and then you can help them do that.
Okay, so the ways that you can find people, there's all kinds of ways. You can do it by mail. You can do it by walking your farm, right? Identifying people in your farm area, whether it's Saddle Club or Little Elm or Flower Mound or South Point or Johnson County or South Fort Worth, North Worth, Keller, it doesn't matter. You have a way to identify those people in your farm area to start off who are people who are renting in your neighborhood. You can get that list from a title company, non-owner occupants, and you know that the person in that house at 123 Apple Street is a renter, and how might you be able to help them into buying a home? So it might be dropping off a flyer to them that's as simple as, if I could show you how to own a home for about the same cost of what you're paying with the same kind of home you're currently living in, would that be of interest to you? Can you generate leads by offering buyers a buyer consultation? Let me show you how, and here's how we can do it. Okay, so there's a number of ways you can do it. You can do it with Facebook ads. You can do it with TikTok videos or videos. You know, the 3 things that buyers need and when buying a home or thinking about buying a home. And then at the end of the video, say, I would love to sit down with you for 15 minutes to show you how I might be able to help you buy your first home. So we can do it with ads. We can do it in our neighborhood. How about first-time buyers? How's that work? Well, the same way. It can be within your area. A lot of people who are renting have been renters forever and first-time buyers. It again can be with videos, and it can be with printed materials. Move-up buyers. who are some move up buyers and where might you find them? This isn't that hard. Where do you think you might be able to find a move up buyer? Okay, there's move up buyers in all the neighborhoods you all told me about. There's people who are living in a home, especially smaller homes, that are move up buyers that might have had more kids and they've outgrown the homes that they're in.
Are you, Jim, I'm sorry, did you say move out or move up?
Move up, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, move up. Those people that need to move up because they've outgrown their home. And there's move down buyers. A lot of those people that that have moved to areas, you know, in Robson Ranch that Tom talked about. Some of them are moved down buyers. They've just purchased smaller homes because the 5 kids that they had are gone and they don't need that kind of home. Of course, and then some people build a monument to themselves and that, whatever. I love people like that. There's investors. How can you find investors? Anybody? Anyone? Okay, here's where you can find investors. Ask your title company.
Other than them randomly texting you all the time.
Say that again.
They randomly text you all the time.
Well, they can. Absolutely. Where can you actually find them? Other than that, anything else? Let me give
Some
you
of the people you talk to that say they're not selling or buying right now, sometimes those are good investors as well, and they don't know it until you share the opportunity with them.
Yep.
yeah, lenders are also a good choice there. I've had a number of lender connections, and they've worked with investors, small time investors, if you're looking for big time, more hard cash lenders and things like that. But yeah, but whoever mentioned they randomly text you every single day, I get a text message saying, hey there, as if they know me, right? Or as if they know me.
Yeah.
Do you have any properties for sale? We're looking to buy, something to that effect, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just, there's ways to go about it, but you mentioned title company, of course, lenders, that's my experience.
Yeah, you're right. Title companies are great because you can ask a title company for all the names in your farm, everybody in Robson Ranch or South Fort Worth or Keller, wherever your farm might be. And you can ask the title company for people that own multiple properties. Generally, if they own multiple properties, they're either investors, and they're probably investors, and many of them are holding long-term, but some of them might move on selling what they have to purchase something else that might offer more opportunity. So you can.
Yeah, I mean, there's also, I mean, I hate saying Google or the internet, but you can find investment/asset management companies. They're always looking for those that manage rental portfolios. And, you know, they work in different markets, but they're always looking for realtors to help them find properties that they can purchase and renovate.
Yep. Okay, so investors, there's relocation buyers. How about, you know, with showing appointments? How can you get more showing appointments? Anyone? It might be a little tougher. Well, it's making yourself very visible to buyers who are looking to buy a property. And you can do that with ads, you can do that with farming a neighborhood, and of course, listing appointments, which are the most wonderful of all. Now, Tom Ferry goes on below where you see 1, 2, 3 listing appointments, buyer appointments, first time appointments, and wants a number. He asked everybody to, what's the most you have scheduled? Some of you haven't scheduled any of these type of appointments, but it should be a goal. If I were writing down a goal, I would want listing appointments. So he's got that for you to review what you have done and then decide what do you want to do more of. Okay, so let's go back up to the top of the page with how many appointments am I committed to scheduling and right now. So you have to focus on what you want. If you want any of these things we've talked about, if you want 3 move-up buyers in a neighborhood, figure out how to identify them, and then figure out how you're going to make contact with them, and then work to schedule an appointment, how you can help them either move up or move down. Number 3, track your appointments visually. Remember the do, doing, done board. That is being able to track everything visually. You can do it also in a contact management system. And number 4, track your appointments to Tom's doing, done board, as we just talked about. And number 5, use your business plan. Tell everybody what your vision is. So they can help you. You might say, I want help in doing this, and you'll be surprised how people will reach out and say, you know what? Here's how I did it. Even within our own office, even some new agents, reach out, put it in your business plan. There's nothing more important than that. Let's go to the next page.
Kim, I'm sorry. Number 2, what were the 2 blanks filled with? I'm sorry.
The number 2, which are number 2 is ask the question and answer it. So how many appointments do you want? You got to ask yourself the question. You've got to put it out there so you know what to reach for. Otherwise, you woke up this morning and you're going to go about the day without a focus and a commitment to whatever that might be. Okay, next page, the rules. Rules is a word I would circle for converting leads into appointments. So we'll go through this very quickly. Rule number one is know your customer's communication strategy. Have any of you gone through the DISC training here in our office? See, I don't know because I haven't been here. There's been no DISC training.
I went through it with Keller Williams, but since I've been in exit since October, no, but we keep talking about it. And I think it's awesome to know not only us, but, other people's way of, kind of like your 5 love languages.
Okay. All right. So exit corporate is, they're very into this, where they hired Angel Tucker, who that's all she does. She goes around the country and does personality profiles, which is a study of DISC. Something to put on our list. So if it's been on the list, I'll mention it to Paul. Mike, we need to mention to Paul and to see how we might be able to teach DISC to the agents here. And DISC is basically how to connect with people using this acronym of DISC. So we'll just talk about them briefly. D stands for a personality, a person that you may work with, the person you may live with, could even be your kids, as to what kind of personalities are they. So the D personality is somebody that's very assertive, dominant, okay? So think about who you may have worked with, lived with, worked with that has a dominant personality. Now, I'm not here to do DISC training, but generally, when you're working with somebody with a dominant personality, they want the answer now. They want to move on whatever question they had now, and they don't want to mamby-pamby around. They don't need any hugs, kisses. They don't need any more communication. If they want to buy something that is in this price range and has these features, find it. Don't mamby-pamby around. Find it for them. They want to act now. They're very assertive. They're very dominant, and they want to get it done. The I of the DISC are people that look for influence outcomes. Generally speaking, I personalities are kind of happy-go-lucky and where's the next party kind of people. Those are I personalities. So do you think if you knew these personalities and if you identify a client when you first meet them, that you might be able to work with them better knowing what type of personality they are? So let's just continue. The S personality is somebody that's, very patient. They're very steady. They're just nice. They're not outgoing. They're certainly not dominant anyway. They just hang, and they're very good people. I love working with S personalities. SIs are the personalities I love to work with because they're laid back. They like to have fun, and they don't try to dominate me. I don't like working with dominant personalities. Not that I'm intimidated. I just don't need that junk in my closet for me, you know? And some of you may be, I don't know anybody here that well, but I don't think there's any D personalities, but I could be wrong. The next, so we talked about D, I, S, and C are people that are very analytic. People that are they love structure, they love rules, they very conscientious. Those are C personalities. C, a perfect example of a C personality isn't an accountant. They're C personality, analysis, numbers, structure. So if you know these 4 personalities and actually know them better, do you think if somebody came into your office and sat across from you right now, and they started talking to you, and if you identified their personality, do you think you could lean in towards the personality to be better for them and to give them better service? Well, the truth is you can. It's so important if you know that personality. And of course, we want to build rapport with them. We'll talk about in a minute. And we want to stay in rapport. So you want to communicate with people that in the methods they prefer, okay? Next is ask your clients how they want to communicate. Stay in rapport with them, but ask them. You know, the clients I recently worked with, text only. Well, I don't want to talk to you. I don't know. I don't think I did anything to tick them off. Text. Some people want to email. Some people want you. They want to be able to hug you and feel you and go to lunch and have coffee, whatever it might be. There's those kind of personalities. So you need to know the method that how people communicate. Next is to ask your clients how they want to communicate, and then ask who else is involved in the process. Always to know the communication strategy is to identify their style and how to communicate with them, but you also need to know who else is going to work with us in this transaction. It might be a husband who is a complete opposite personality. It could be an uncle, it could be a friend, it could be somebody else. Rule number 2 is to become great at building rapport with people. It says here, people want to do business with people who are just like themselves. I'm not sure that works for me. I don't know if I'd want to work with me, but most people want to work with people like themselves. That's why you've got friends and why you connect with some neighbors if you live in the neighborhood and hang out with the people you do. They're probably a lot like you. They like the same kind of things. They might like to play golf. They might like football. They might like the same sports team. They might like to shop. So people want to do business with people just like themselves. And rapport is built on sameness. And I circled the word on this sheet, sameness. They want not sane, same people that are like them, the same kind of tone and communication skills. So when you're working with people, one of the ways to build rapport is to mimic them. Don't know that if you've ever consciously done this, but when you're with somebody, this is kind of creepy actually, but adapt to what they're doing, their rate of speech, their tone, the energy they have. Mimic them. They won't know that you're doing it, but if they cross their arms, cross your arms. If they cross their leg, cross their leg. If they have certain ways of talking, mimic the way they're talking. If they talk slow, mimic the way in answering them and communicating slow, because that's how they communicate. So if there's anything you get from today, think about mimicking people with the rate of speech, the volume, the tone, and the energy when you're working with people. Try it. The next time you're working with somebody, or the next time you're with somebody, mimic them. Make it a game. It won't be apparent, but make it a game and practice being like them. Okay, give it a try. One of the things Tom Ferry actually talked about in this training was comparing New York City to Austin, Texas. He used it as an example. And so if a person comes into a conference from New York City and is a fast talking New York City, what you might, have in your mind as to what New York City, fast talking, wheeler dealer kind of thing, they're probably not going to connect as well as somebody, if they go to Austin, Texas, as somebody from Austin who might have a slower speech pattern, who might connect in a different way. If you know people, seen people from cities, that they're a lot different, especially the East Coast, California, man, they have completely different ways of communication. Number 3 is become a master of qualifying to determine their real motivation. And really what we're here to do is to solve problems. We've talked about this before. That's our goal, is to identify a problem and to solve the problem by finding solutions to it. So become a master of qualifying to determine their real motivation. The real motivation is, I need to move by next July. That's their motivation. And that's their goal. That's what they need to do. Become a master of qualifying in all the questions that you ask, okay? So here are some great questions that Tom has, that think about these in using for your client's use. Tell me what you would like to do. Ask that question. Don't just go show them houses, stick them in a car and drive them around. Find out, tell me what you want to do. Next is, how soon would you like to do that? And then go deeper. Tell me more about that. Oh, that's interesting. So you said you want to move to Little Elm. Well, tell me a little bit more about that. Is it because of the schools? Is it because of the shopping? Tell me more about it. Be inquisitive. Find out their motivation. Then find solutions for them, whatever those are. Next is, so what's causing you to make the move? Why are you moving? Tell me more about that. Next, who else is involved in the process and how do they feel about your move? Remember, as above, you always want to know who the players are, because maybe the husband wants this, but the wife may want that, So you really need to identify, how they feel about the move and the people that are playing the game. The husband might, I ran into this, especially in the area I was at. Husbands, that's super stereotype, but I'm telling you, it was a lot of my business. Husbands wanted a shop. Wives wanted a beautiful kitchen. Stereotype, I get it, but I found that to be true more than not. So when you identify the players in this game, you've got to find what the husband wants, what the wives want, and you have to find out how they feel about the move. How do they feel about the shop and or the kitchen? Usually husbands will say, I really don't care. I just want a place to go, a man cave, a shop. Let my wife pick out anything else. They don't care. It's a stereotypical rule. It's just, and the funny thing is, men think that they are helping make the decisions of buying a home, and they don't. Men generally don't have any part of it, other than maybe carving out a little room that they can watch the ball game in or drink beer with their buddies. Is a stereotype again. So ask the question, so what else has to happen in order for you to make this move? So what has to happen? What's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? And tell me more. And then the question, do you have a plan B? What happens if we're unable to do what we do? Number 4, next page, put each lead into the appropriate lead follow-up system. Are they long-term, short-term? And be sure you can work with that. For buyers, cut their time in half. If they say they want to move in 3 months, cut it in half and know that you need to focus on getting them somewhere in half that amount of time. Because sometimes if you wait for what they ask you, if they might say, yeah, you know what, Mike, I'm going to wait till July to look at homes. You want to move that up and show them value and show them maybe by marketing to them or sending them emails, whatever. Starts doing it in half the time, because by the time we get to July, they probably have already bought a home. Do it half the time. And if you're working with a seller, 2/3 of the time. Just use that as a rule. by 2/3. Short-term leads should be on your business tracking board. So if you have your doing done, they should be on the board. Call your leads in a peak state, when it's the honeymoon stage, when they're anxious, when they want to work with you. Remember, they say, I want to do this in a year, cut it in half. Do your affirmations, ask yourself power focusing questions. I'm going to go to number 6. The key thing in number 6 is the example of ask for the appointment at least 3 times. I do a minimum of 2, but ask 3 times. And then the example, if I could show you how I'm able to get my clients top dollar for their home, regardless of the market, wouldn't it be worth 15 minutes of your time to meet with me? I just circled that example, and I want you to think about using, wouldn't it be worth 15 minutes of your time to meet whatever it is? So you've told me that you're interested in buying a home. Don't you think it'd be worth 15 minutes of your time for me to show you how to do that in a way that you need to buy a home and buy in the time frame? Use, wouldn't it be worth the 15 minutes of your time to do that? I'm going to go just a couple minutes over. I apologize. I talked too much today. One that I used when I was doing expireds is I would knock the door of expireds, and I would have some questions I would ask them. But my key line was, if I could show you, and the expireds are ones off the market, if I could show you in the next 20 minutes how I can get your home sold in the next 30 days for the highest price in the least amount of time, wouldn't it be worth 20 minutes of your time? I don't know how many times I said that, thousands when I went to the doors. If I could just have 20 minutes of your time. And so think about this line. I want you to circle it. I want you to think how you're going to use it. Use it on me. Practice it wherever, but practice it. Let's go to where it says bottom line, never accept no, because I want you to fill in all the blanks. By the way, go up to number 5. Number 5 says move your body. So if you're filling in things, I'm sorry, I skipped over. Move your body to create energy. There's much more energy involved with people that are moving using their hands than a person that appears dead. Okay, now let's go back down. The bottom line is never accept no when a yes is possible. Try to find the yes in everything you do. That takes practice. It takes knowing scripts and knowing what to say. Never take no. If you get a no, try to find a way to get to yes. Okay, and we'll talk about that in scripts class. Okay, all the money is in scheduling appointments. That in that next blank. Number 7, understand objections and be prepared to answer the common objections. We've worked on those for the last 2 weeks. We've talked about common objections, right? For those of you that have been in class on Tuesdays, we talk about objections a lot. And then clients that are struggling to make a decision, these 3 things, and I'll move through them quickly. Ask them, you said that you're not ready to list today. What's the worst case scenario if we did decide to list your property today? They might say, I'm just not ready. Well, what's the worst case scenario if we get your home on the market today? Find out what the objections they have, because you can probably calm those objections. I know at the holidays, people might say, yeah, we're going to wait until after the holidays. And you might say, well, what's the worst case scenario if you did list during the holidays? Well, we would have to move, and gosh, we got all of our decorations up and it's a busy time of year. Do you have an answer for that? Would you be able to come up with an answer to help them if that was their objection? What's the worst case scenario if you did? And think about it. They might say, well, I don't want to move because of the Christmas decorations. Well, let's get it on the market and make sure that you won't need to move until after the holidays. Some people don't even know timelines, so that, it's going to take 30 to 60 days at best to have to get out of their home. Here's another one. What's the most likely scenario? So you told me you want to interview other agents. So tell me, what's the most likely scenario if you decide that you want to interview other agents? Well, find out why. Find out why they want to interview more people. What's the most likely scenario? Well, if I do that, I'm going to find out who's the most capable to sell my home. Well, if I could show you in the next 15 minutes how I'm going to get your home sold, would that take care of that objection that you have, or that concern? You wouldn't say objection, that concern you have. Okay. And so what's the best case scenario? So you told me you want to move, you want to get your home sold. Tell me about the best case scenario if everything was to be perfect. What does that look like? Tell me about it, and listen and let them tell you about it. Okay, so to the next action steps on page 95 of this worksheet that you have is schedule your hour of power daily. I hope you're doing it, and I'm hoping you're focused on your hour of power. Schedule 2 hours a week to work on your business, at least 2 hours a week. Review your lead follow-up campaigns. Write your gratitude list. We didn't even talk about gratitudes today. I did them this morning. I do them, try to do them every morning. Sometimes I miss. Write your gratitude list, everything that you're thankful for, what you have gratitude. Look at your financial affirmations. Write down your financial affirmations. You know, this year, I want to earn blank amount of money, and I'm going to do so in this. Affirmations. Review the rules of great lead generation. Keep track of all your leads on your board or in your contact management system. It's hugely important. Hang up the qualifying dialogue someplace where you can see them. You know what? In my office, where people were in booths like we have here, you know, we've got a room that are full of booths that you could claim as your own, and it could be the place where you come to work. And some of the people had all of this important objection handling scripts and exactly what they'd say when they'd get on the phone around them. So they would be in front of them all the time. So think about having those dialogues in a place. I have a script book, and it's a mess. It's thick, and it's all my scripts are all ragged and pages are turned. But think about having a script book. Go to an office supply store, buy a small 3-ring binder, and put the most popular scripts that you think you'll be using to remove objections and to use in your business, and have them available so when somebody does call you about something, you can go to buyers, sellers, investors, divide that group up. And so you'll have the scripts, because the time where you're actually talking to people is the time where you lose you lose your thought about it, and you don't want to lose the thought. So hang up the dialogues, or put the dialogues in a place where you can get to them quickly. Okay. Next, calendar time for follow-up calls. Always have a time, if you can, to put on your calendar to do follow-up calls. All right. Then the next few pages are actual pre-qualifiers, dialogues, and so forth, kind of the things we talk about on scripts. So different kinds of options are there, universal pre-qualifier dialogue. These are things you need in order to be prepared when you go to an appointment and when you're talking to people. You need these. Do not go past these and put them under something on your desk. When we're done, please take a look at these. And if they go in your script book, they go in your script book, because that's what these dialogues are for. All right. I'm 6 minutes over. I apologize. But I'd love to answer any questions if anybody has a question about what we covered today. And I hope it wasn't too out there in new age for anybody, because a lot of this mindset stuff can be, but it's so important that you have the right mindset to not be defeated. Any questions? I'll try to answer anything, or any comments anybody would like to make. No? Okay.
I have one little thing.
Okay.
Going back to when you first opened up the session today with farming, the most important ingredient, in my opinion, is going to be time.
Okay.
To allow your name to get distributed in the neighborhood you're going to farm. Patience and time and consistency, right? And
Yes.
I'm not going to mention a particular agent's name, but Kim and I worked with him in the same agency. And I don't remember if it's Kim with 2 M's or Kim with 1 M. I don't remember. I'm sorry. He dominated a particular neighborhood, Castle Hills. I'll go ahead and throw it out there. And I learned his secret, which is time, patience, and get out there. And just when he first started, no one knew his name. And now his name is synonymous with this particular neighborhood. And so I put that to the test. I went out there and I went to the clubhouse of this particular neighborhood, Castle Hills. I got all the information of the clubhouse, the schools, the little retail centers, the HOA information, the CCNRs. I mean, everything I can get my hands on for this particular neighborhood, and I studied it, and I wanted to try it, and I got business out of that. So the same principle I think applies for every neighborhood. I mean, wherever you live, just immerse yourself in that neighborhood's amenities. If it has HOA information, CCNRs, like I said, the school districts, things like that. And that's how I think you can become a good value for your clients. And they want to see that you can just utter these things without having to think about it.
Yep. Yeah. And at the very least, you need to know everything about the neighborhood. You need to know the numbers.
Exactly. Even street names, even the tax information is very important, because if you're dealing with an engineer or somebody very analytical, they're going to ask these questions, and you want to be able to recite them off the top of your head.
Mm-hmm.
And I even carried, believe it or not, I had a file cabinet in my trunk where I carried pamphlets of Castle Hills.
Mm-hmm.
And I can just and I even pulled out a map. So it's a map of the whole community and very nicely put together.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can actually lay it out in front of a client, they can see, can tell that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I think, Fair Texas Title has talked about that. They'll provide you with pamphlets on at least communities and so forth and build them for you. So that's not so crazy that you had something in your trunk where you had all the information. In my trunk, I carried things for the neighborhood I was farming. I carried contracts. I had open house. So, if I ever was going to go anywhere where I needed the trunk, I'd have to unpack my whole trunk, but I didn't live out of it, but my stuff was there. And you're right. Patience is key with farming, but there are things you can do to stand out.
Yes.
Like the Facebook ads, that Tom was talking about with the go-to agent at Robson Ranch. She's finding ways to put some immediacy into it. So you can do it very organically, but you can do things that will be a splash. And we're coming up, to, warm temperatures here. You could do something in your neighborhood where you do, if there's a local pocket park or something in the neighborhood, a community ice cream social where you actually have a campaign where you walk the neighborhood, you leave off a flyer that on Saturday afternoon, you're going to be there with ice cream for all the kids and parents from 2 to 4. It might cost you $100, a couple $100, but there's things you can do to get your name out there. Do you think parents will probably, think of you? You got to do those things where they'll think of you. Yeah, who's the guy where, my kid went 4 times to get 4 different ice cream cones for this, that was embarrassing or whatever. There's things you can do to make yourself stand out. Facebook.
When I lived in Plano, I created a generic yard sign to roofers, right? I mean, you don't know, most people can't tell you a roofer's name off the top of their head. But the minute a hailstorm comes through here or anywhere in your neighborhood, then all of a sudden these roof signs pop up. And every roofer I've used have always told me, oh yeah, we're doing 2 or 3 houses around the corner and we got bids going on everywhere. So it's the same thing with yard signs. Once you get 1 up there, 2 up there, or in there, I should say, in the neighborhood, then that name becomes synonymous with that neighborhood you start farming. And then it's just consistency from that point, it's like a little rock in a pond, right? That ripple effect.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And just takes a little time. But my generic sign was just, you need a realtor, right? Neighborhood expert, something like that. And I put it in my mom's yard. And I just let that sit there. And I got many calls and business from that. So
That's a great idea. One that I did, all of you put this in the top of mind. When you're working with a buyer and they buy a home that you didn't have listed in a neighborhood, ask them if you can put a sign in the yard for 30 days, the buyers, and you have to have the sign made. I had 3 of them made, that said, it had my picture on it. And it said something like, I sold this home, I can sell yours too, had my contact information. Know that generally speaking, Mike will know this, anybody that's closed transactions, most of the people you work with, if you've done a good job as buyers, are going to love you, until, the roof caves in or something, but they're going to love you, because they know that you worked hard for them. That's when you give them a closing gift, or even before, as you're working towards it, closing a transaction, to say, we're closing next week. I really have a special favor to ask of you. That when we first talked, I told you that referrals were one of the most important things for my business. And I would hope that you would feel comfortable in referring me to your friends, family, neighbors. I just don't do it once, but I don't do it to where people are puking because I know what's coming up, but enough that people know that referral is business. And I would say, the sign is going to come down in your yard. Could I ask a really special favor to help me grow your business? Could I put a sign up in your yard that said, sold by Jim Mazziotti, I can sell yours too? It would really help me in your business. I promise I'll take it down after 30 days and it would be helpul.
I'm glad you said that, Jim. I'm glad you said that, because I have done that with every single listing. You just ask, hey, at post closing, can I keep my yard sign on your, on your property for a couple of weeks? And I've never had a no. And even at the closing table, I've always kind of jokingly, because you kind of befriend a lot of your clients, and you have great conversations, where you can have loose conversations. And I would just say, hey, you're going to owe me at, when we close, in a joking way, of course. I'm like, yeah,
yes.
Especially when they know they're getting value and you've done well for them. And then prior to closing, a day or two, or even at the closing table, I just say, hey, would you be able to give me 3 names or 2 names that I can, friends and families of yours that are looking for, a home or looking to sell.
Yeah,
and it's always worked.
Yeah, you've got to ask to get, right? You've got to ask to get. So
does Exit have something like that? That's or is it going to be self-made? That sign.
I made them myself. I made them. I got to tell you the truth. I made them for some of my agents that was generic that they could put up, and they didn't go up. They didn't take the time to ask or put them up. So I made them for me. I had my picture on them and I had my name on it. This home, Jim Mazziotti sold this home. So my name was there, sold this home. I can sell yours too with the information. So I had, several signs made. My daughter, when she was in the business, had some for her made as well. And so it was just part of my business, Tom, and everyone. It's just part of my business. Was there an expense? Yeah, I think it costs like $25 for each sign. But I had them made and I was ready to put them up when the deal closed. It was a $75 investment. And it was just like open house signs that we talked about 2 sessions ago, the mega open house, being ready to do an open house. And outside of the mega open house is if you have a sign kit that you spend money on by getting, let's just say 5 open house signs and whatever to put the signs in or how to hang them, however you're going to do it, to have the tools for an open house, spend a couple $100. And what business can you be in where on Saturday you can go to a house, any house you want that you arrange, and do an open house to sell a $400,000 to $800,000 property? and all you have to do is put up a sign and do some other work. What other business has a deal like that? It's a deal. Why wouldn't we be prepared for it? So if you have the kit, you can go on Friday, not the best, the mega open house is planning. Planning is best. But what the open house kit is I might call Kim up and say, hey, Kim, it might be today. Today's Thursday. Hey, Kim, you got that house on Apple Street listed. Could I do an open house there on Saturday? What are the sellers available for me to do an open house? What's preventing you from doing that? That's my question. What's preventing me from doing, any of us from, yep, okay, I can. Can you arrange it? Great. I'd like to do it 1 to 4. Would that be okay? Sure. Okay, I'll have some flyers made and tell them I'll be there around 12:30. And I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Kim. You go to your garage, you have your kit of 5 open house signs. You take a map of the neighborhood. You know what the neighborhood is. If you want to walk it tomorrow, Friday, you can walk it with flyers. You can make the flyers in Promo Shop or anywhere. You can make flyers. I'll help you if you don't have a way to make them. You can make them just about anywhere. And you can do an open house, and you have the potential to earn $12, $15, $20,000. What other business can you do that in? I don't know of one. We just have to have the tools to be able to do it. So, all right. Thank you, Pascal, for your comments, and Tom and everybody for being here. Anything else anybody wants to add before we go?
I've never tried this, but we had somebody back in New Mexico, and the reason I didn't do it in that town is because it was a small town, and I just kind of looked like I was just copying the other dude.
Yeah.
But he actually had garage sale signs made with his information on them, and he would provide them to people at no cost. Go put them out and then pick them up for them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh,
This is the sign that I had made. I was trying to find it in my garage.
And there it is.
oh, very cool.
So
Yeah.
I kind of used, the old show,
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement, Tim the Tool Man.
Yep, I can see that.
It's a simple sign. It's made for under $50. One client definitely pays for it. So I just took a shot in it and it worked. I didn't get many clients from it, but I did get a lot of inquiries, and I think I got like 3 clients off of that sign.
Yeah, well, that's what we're looking for, any way that we can get a client. Now, the one thing I just want to say before we go, know that with any signage that you need to know that it's okay to put a sign up, meeting all the city laws and all that kind of stuff, and the ordinances of a community. So know that. Just be very careful. You don't want to have your sign taken down, stolen, or get a letter from the city that there's a $500 fine for putting a sign up. Okay, because there are rules and regulations. So you want to look at those things. All right. Okay, you guys. Thank you so much. I went way over, and thanks for hanging with me. If anything I can do for you, let me know. And I hope you join me on Tuesday. And just want to remind you, Fair Texas Title is doing a class here next Wednesday. If next Wednesday is the 15th, they're doing a class on the Palm, what's it called, Mike? Palm what?
Agent.
Palm Agent. And they're doing it in the Frisco office. Palm Agent. I don't know. Some stuff was brought into the office yesterday when I wasn't here for us to be able to do Zoom and live things in our agent room, but I don't know if I'm be able to do that. So next Wednesday, she hasn't put out, has she contacted any of you guys?
No, but I've got it. I've got it as noon on the 15th, Tuesday.
Okay, so that's okay. Okay, you got it right. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That is, yep, it is at noon. It is going to be here in the office. She was going to make flyers and or contact everybody. So I've at least made contact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of you. And so you know that it's actually happening. Would love to have you in the Frisco office. Hopefully she's going to bring food, but I think it's going to be good information. Thank you for correcting me, Tom, on the day of the week. So
from the last Frisco meeting, nobody else got contacted from the text, or did you? Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't the only one.
yeah. So, Okay, and anything else, Mike, that's going on that people should know about over there in Grapevine? Kim?
Supposed to have
Yeah.
internet on Monday, so people that want to come hang out there and
What's-
check out the new office, 931 Church Street.
Yeah. Okay. Kim, what did you? Yes.
Yeah, we still need to get a list of everybody so we can friend them on Facebook. So I'm still waiting for that one. And then anybody that was on here that doesn't have contact information for all of us, I think we need to reach out and do the same thing.
Okay. I am going to, how am I going to do this? I've got a list, I think, of everybody in the office. And I will, I'm going to put it on our Facebook page. I'll do it as soon as I'm done here.
Okay, because I know that sometimes I'll go look for people on Facebook. I've tried to friend everybody, but I'm missing people. So if y'all aren't friends with me, come find me.
Okay. The list I have has emails and phone numbers, no Facebook things.
Okay, but I mean, even just us on here, I mean, I think most of us are friends on Facebook or something like that, but I don't have everybody's contact information either in case, you needed something or whatever, because sometimes, I mean, Tom's not available or, Kim's not available or whatever. So
Okay.
I still think, even just the ones that, especially since we're all hanging out, we might as well at least be able to contact somebody.
I will get that done today.
Okay.
I have that list too. I just got one, like an updated one like last week too. So
Can you put it on Facebook, Mike?
yeah, I'll throw it up there today.
Okay, so I see how I removed the responsibility. Mike?
I shouldn't have spoke up.
Right. Well, like I said, I've tried to find everybody. So if I'm not friends, then that means I either haven't found you or I've missed you. So come find me.
We just thought you were rude, Kim.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, I'm not rude. I'm I'm not picky either. I love everybody.
I was trying to figure out what I said. What did I say? Whatever.
Jim, you're kind of stuck with me. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. That's
Oh,
good.
answer your text. I need that answered. No, I'm kidding. It was your address. All right, guys, I got to get off here. I have a meeting
Hey,
in 5
see
minutes.
you. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great
Bye.
day.
Thank you.
Bye.